grew up with two older brothers, and we each had our favorite meal that my mom made us. Mine was by far chicken tetrazzini. Now, there were several recipes she made on repeat, and I've converted most of them into meals in jars. So today, I'm going to be showing you 5 of my favorite meals from childhood. These are all nostalgic. They remind me of my sweet mama, and they're all tasty and comforting. In addition to my all-time favorite chicken tet, as I called it, I've got recipes for American goulash, chicken pot pie, meatloaf, and chicken divan. Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list of my mom's greatest hits, but it will get you started. Now, believe it or not, these are all going to be just add water meals. So once you get the jars prepped and ready, they really don't take too long to make. I hope you enjoy this trip down memory lane with me. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to the Freeze Dried Foodie, where you'll find delicious recipes using freeze-dried ingredients. Now, it doesn't really matter what brand you have. So many of us have this type of food on our shelves. On this channel, I'll show you how I cook with mine. I'll start us off with chicken tetrazzini. So this is, it sounds really Italian, doesn't it? But it's totally not. It's just very American. I think it was named after an opera singer who had the last name of Tetrazzini. But anyway, this is like a chicken spaghetti dish. It's got a white sauce that's very cheesy. I'm going to be actually adding 3 types of cheese into this recipe. If you don't have all these types of cheese, you don't have to do that. You could use all cheddar if that's what you prefer. But I like using a variety. I think it makes for a really good, creamy white sauce. You're also going to add just a few vegetables, not too many, and then some really simple seasonings. Now, since I won't be able to fit all of the recipes from today down in the description box, I will link to all of them for you. All right, to start, you're going to need a quart-sized jar, and into that jar, you're going to put about 8 ounces of spaghetti noodles, and you need to break them. And the way I did it was I just stood them up, and I took just a little bundle at a time, and I broke them into thirds. So I broke each spaghetti noodle twice, which made thirds, and then they kind of sit at the bottom of the jar. See, there's plenty of room down in there still for the sauce powders to go. You will have room for all of this in your jar. You just might have to tap it down every once in a while. I probably should have put the sauce before the peas, but it all worked out. The bechamel sauce, the butter powder, the sour cream, and the milk make a fantastic white sauce for this dish. Yeah, this is where I show you. I put the lid on and give it a really good shake so that all the powder settles down into the spaces, into the gaps down at the bottom, and you have more room at the top. Now, if you don't have both kinds of onions, just use one or the other. But the garlic is really important. I use both the freeze-dried garlic and the garlic powder. And here are those seasonings you saw earlier. It's just pretty simple. Some chicken bouillon, kosher salt, pepper, and then the garlic powder. The mushrooms are optional, but I like them. Okay, here's 3 kinds of cheese. Just a tablespoon of parm. It's pretty strong flavor. That's all you need of that. 1/3 of a cup of cheddar and 1/3 of a cup of mozzarella. I thought I could get more mozzarella in there, but I just ran out of room. So 1/3 of a cup is all that I put in there. And to press it down. And if you're going to store it for long term, go ahead and put in your oxygen absorber. Wipe your rim and then seal your jar. There you have it. It's really easy. It's very pretty too. So this is what you would store on your pantry shelf. I think I'm going to make probably 3 more of these and put them in my pantry. I love this. All right, and when you're ready to prepare it, it's a just add water dish, so it's very simple. You do need kind of a deep skillet with a lid or a saucepan, kind of a large one, because you're going to put quite a bit of water in here. But just look at how the spaghetti came out. I had to stop and film that. I thought that was beautiful. That's like pasta sculpture. That is food art right there. All right, and then I went ahead and filled up my quart jar with water so I could rinse out the jar and get the rest of the powder into the dish. You don't want to waste any of that. So that's 4 cups of water right there, and here is the 5th cup. And that's all the water you need. As you stir this, you kind of have to be careful at first because the spaghetti pieces are brittle and they will break if you're not careful. So just be sort of careful. Go ahead and get some heat on there. You're going to bring this up to a boil. As it begins to boil, it's a lot easier to stir because the spaghetti noodles, they will start to be more flexible and less brittle, and you can stir a lot easier. You'll want to simmer this for about 15 minutes. And do stir it every once in a while because of the pasta and the cheese. It will tend to stick on you, so go ahead and stir it every 3 or 4 minutes. Put your lid on there for probably the last 5 minutes and make sure your pasta gets tender. So here's what it looks like after 15 minutes of simmering. The pasta is tender, and you can tell it's ready because the sauce is starting to get thick, and when you move the pasta around, you can see the bottom of your pan. It smells so good, y'all. And I always recommend that you taste and adjust for seasonings. I tried the pasta to make sure that it was tender, and it was. Now at this point, you could take it off the heat and let it rest, but my mom always topped this with cheese. So I thought, I'm going to do that. I put some cheddar on it and I broiled it for 4 or 5 minutes to get the bubbly brown cheese on the top, and it's so pretty. Okay, but this is the hard part, y'all. It's going to take some self-control. You have to let this rest. It has to set up. Okay, so after about 15 minutes, this is what it will look like. The sauce will have set up and the pasta it's all ready, and you can actually cut it at this point. This casserole you can cut and serve up. I wanted to show you how it firms up. The sauce will firm up, and I kind of put a double portion in this bowl to show you. Y'all, it's so pretty, isn't it? See, there's no sauce running in the bottom of the pan. It's just a really nice casserole. And this is what you have. Chicken tetrazzini. This was amazing. I loved it. I'm definitely going to make this again. I hope you'll give it a try. Well, hi there everyone, and welcome. Today's recipe is for another meal in a jar. It's for American goulash. Now, I already have a recipe for American goulash up on my channel, but I did it in the form of a YouTube short, so it's not quite 60 seconds long, and it's a very simple, straightforward recipe. Today's recipe is a new and improved version of that because I am going to use quite a few of the Thrivalist sauces to make a very flavorful dish. Now, if you don't have the Thrivalist sauces, I'll talk about what you could use instead. This recipe is super tasty. It's one of my favorites from the school cafeteria. Did y'all have goulash on Wednesdays at your school cafeteria? I just loved it. We had pizza Fridays and then goulash on Wednesdays, and oh my gosh, it's just comfort food for me. Let me show you how I put it together. I'm going to use a quart-sized jar because I wanted 3 or 4 servings out of this. Of course, you could scale this recipe down if you're just cooking for 1 or 2 and put it in a pint-sized jar. I'm going to start with some elbow macaroni at the bottom of my jar, about 6 ounces or so. And then I'm only using half a cup of our ground beef that I pulsed in the blender, but you could definitely use more if you like more beef flavor. I like to include the cheddar cheese. It's fantastic, and I always pulse it in the blender. And then there's just a variety of vegetables. If you don't like those vegetables, leave them out. There's different recipes for American goulash. Some of them include corn and others don't. I like the corn in there. I'm using a good bit of onions, Okay, here are some of the sauce powders. The Espanol sauce is thick beef gravy. It's so good. But if you don't have that, I've got a recipe on my channel for a copycat version of it. I like using the tomato sauce versus just the tomato powder just for more flavor. I'm adding cheese sauce to this because yum, it's cheese sauce. It's so good. You don't have to have it though because you're already putting cheddar in there. Some people don't even include sour cream in their goulash, and that's fine. You can leave it out if you don't like it, but I like the creaminess. These are just straightforward, regular old spices: onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, paprika, and a little bit of cayenne will give you just a bit of spice. But a lot of people include Worcestershire sauce in their recipes. I am using some soy sauce powder today. And hey, if you don't have the powder, just write yourself a note on your jar to add some fresh soy sauce when you go to prepare it. I like adding the bay leaves here, and then if you're going to store it for probably more than a year, go ahead and put in an oxygen absorber. Isn't that just a lovely jar? I think those layers are gorgeous. I don't say this enough. This is true. If you don't have all of these ingredients in the freeze-dried form, don't worry about it because freeze-dried food pairs beautifully with fresh food. Just add fresh when you make it. For instance, if you don't have our tomatoes, then write yourself a note and add a can of stewed tomatoes or something like that. It's really easy to mix and match and pair fresh with the freeze-dried. And when you're ready to prepare it, just get out a large skillet and you're going to add 4.5 cups of water to this. 4.5 was perfect for me. If you see the end product and think, yeah, that's not saucy enough, then go ahead and add about 5 cups. You'll want to give this a really good stir because there are lots of sauce powders in there that need to make friends with that water. And then you'll just go ahead and turn your heat on, probably a medium high or so, because you want to bring this up to a boil. It took me maybe between 5 and 10 minutes for mine to come to a boil. I stirred it every once in a while. Remember, it's got pasta in there, it's got cheese in there, and those will tend to want to stick. So just make sure you're stirring from the bottom every once in a while. After you reach a boil, turn down your heat to probably a medium, or somewhere around a medium. I think I ended up at 4.5 out of 10 on my stove. I wanted to continue the boil, so somewhere around a medium. You're going to boil this for about somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes and stir it every 3 or 4 minutes. And you'll notice as you do this, every time you stir, the macaroni noodles will have plumped up more. They will have absorbed more of that sauce. The sauce will be getting thicker and thicker. And eventually you'll just get to a point where you think, yeah, that's about right. And for me, that point was when I was looking at a dry skillet in between my stirs. When you get to about that point, that's when you can test it and make sure your macaroni noodles are tender. Go ahead and give it a taste test. You're going to check for the tenderness of the pasta as well as for adjustments needed in your seasonings. For me, the seasonings were spot on and the pasta was good and tender. This is not a dish that you want al dente. You want this nice and soft. I set it to the side, and after about 10 minutes, this is what the goulash is like. Now that's what I was talking about earlier. If that's too dry for you, then you can add another half cup of water or so, and it'll give you some more sauce. But I really like it like this. The sauce will be a lot more red if you don't include the sour cream powder, but I like the sour cream in it, so mine has kind of an orange tint to it. Oh, isn't that just pretty? Doesn't that look like comfort food to you? I love a good American goulash. We always called it goulash, but evidently there's Hungarian goulash, which is quite different. So I just wanted y'all to know this is not the Hungarian version of it. Obviously, it's just my Americanized version, but it is really yummy. The green peppers in there are delicious. The tomato dices, I love the sweet corn, that just pop of crunchy sweetness in there is so good. And I do like to top it with some extra cheddar cheese, or Colby Jack, I think is what I added. It's just a really nice, comforting dish. Today's recipe is for a meal in a jar. This one is for a chicken pot pie, including the flaky tender crust. This is based on my recipe for chicken pot pie soup that I already have up on my channel. I'll link that below. And it combines it with the pie crust recipe that I have up on my channel already. It's a shelf-stable, just add water pie crust recipe. It is fantastic. I will link that as well. My chicken pot pie soup recipe is basically my mom's chicken pot pie recipe, but turned into a soup. So this is the way I like it. This is the way she made it, but you can customize it to your liking. You can change the vegetables or whatever. Let me go back in time and show you how I made that pie crust in a jar. I'm starting with a food processor. I'm adding a cup of flour. By the way, this is half a recipe from what I have up on my channel. This is a half recipe for just one pie crust. So to that I add some salt. If you're using table salt, cut that amount in half. The Thrivalist scrambled egg mix will add structure to your crust without making it tough. It's the perfect addition for shelf-stable pie crust. The butter powder will give this flavor. I love the flavor of butter, but there is not enough fat in butter powder to make a flaky pie crust. So the fat will come later in the form of lard. Or some people like to use shortening. I prefer to use lard. I grew up using lard. Also, you do not have to have a food processor to do this. I find it to be a lot easier with a food processor, but you could do the same thing with a bowl and a fork and just some time and effort. So at the end, your pie crust mix needs to look kind of like sand or wet sand. That is what you can store in a jar on your shelf, and it should be good for 3 or 4 months. If your lard is really fresh, it can last a little bit longer, but not too long because fat will go rancid on you, so just be aware of that. All right, moving on to the chicken pot pie filling. I'm going to start with a quart-sized jar because I'm going to make about 4 servings here, and I'm going to rotate things that are kind of chunky and things that are powdery. Just go back and forth a little bit. I've got the chicken in there. Now I'm adding like half of the bechamel sauce. Then I'm going to add some potatoes and the rest of the bechamel sauce, just so the powder settles down into the spaces there. Now, if you don't want to include the chicken in this recipe, then don't. You can leave out the chicken actually and add rotisserie chicken whenever you cook it. That's an option for you. Freeze-dried meat can be pretty expensive, so I know some people that think this is cost prohibitive to make it with the meat, and so that is definitely an option for you. You could put together this entire thing of, kind of like a chicken pot pie helper meal, and just add fresh chicken whenever you go to make it, or add rotisserie chicken. That is something that I do just to help cut down the cost. But I kind of like having the chicken in there too, just because it's a complete meal all in one jar. All right, these are the vegetables that I like to add: carrots, celery, onions, and then corn and peas. But that's up to you. You can customize that. You can change out some things if you prefer. Add green beans instead of peas, whatever you like. Now these seasonings are just kind of regular old seasonings: chicken bouillon, salt and pepper, thyme. If you don't have the time, just leave it out. And if you're going to store this for a good amount of time, go ahead and add an oxygen absorber. So this is the jar that you could store on your pantry shelf. And the idea here is, if you try this recipe and you like this recipe, go ahead and assemble 3 or 4 jars at a time. It doesn't take any more time to assemble 3 or 4 than it does to assemble 1, really. And that way you'll have them on your shelf just ready and waiting for you. When you're ready to make this meal, it's super easy because it's a just add water meal. So you'll get out a large skillet or a soup pot, add the contents of the jar to your skillet, and then just add water. So I'm adding about 4 cups of water here. If you see the amount of sauce at the end of this recipe and you think, that's not saucy enough for me, then add some more water at the beginning. You could add 4.5 or 5 cups of water even to have more sauce at the end, and that would be just fine. After we cook this on the stove, we are going to put it in a casserole dish and bake it in the oven with the crust on it, so it does get even thicker and it dries out a little bit more. So just keep that in mind as you watch this recipe. So you'll want to stir this really well. Make sure your sauce powders are incorporated into that water. And then you'll just get your heat on. You'll want to bring this to a boil at probably a medium heat. Nothing too high, just a medium heat. In the meantime, you can make your crust. You'll get out that jar, empty it into a medium-sized bowl, and then you're going to add ice water. And it kind of depends on the humidity, it depends on your elevation, but I added 2 tablespoons of ice water to my pie crust mix, and it was perfect. You want to get it to where it kind of starts to form a ball, basically. And then you'll just turn that ball out onto a floured surface. The point of the flour is just so it's not sticking. You don't want your pie crust to stick. You don't want it to stick to the surface. You don't want it to stick to your hands. You don't want it to stick to the rolling pin. That's why you flour things. It just helps create a barrier so it doesn't stick. And don't be intimidated by pie crust. I know I used to be. A lot of people are intimidated by pie crust, but really just give it a try. Get your hands in there and you'll figure out, hey, this is kind of like playing with Play-Doh and it's kind of fun. And the worst thing that could happen is, it doesn't turn out perfectly, but that's fine. I mean, this is homemade food. It's supposed to be rustic. So if you'll notice, I just keep picking it up, flipping it over, and all I'm doing is I'm just trying to make sure that it's not sticking. So I'm going to pick it up again and turn it. I'm going to roll it and I'm going to pick it up again. And I just want to make sure that this is not going to stick to the counter and tear. Now, it actually does that a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. Now, I decided once I rolled it out to the shape that I wanted it to be, which is kind of an oblong shape for my casserole dish, that I would just roll that thing right up onto the rolling pin and stick it in the refrigerator. They say pie crust bakes up really nice and flaky if it stays pretty cold. That way when it hits the hot oven, it just puffs up and it creates those flaky layers. So I stuck it in the refrigerator in between 2 pitchers. And in that amount of time, that was exactly the amount of time I needed to bring my mixture to a boil. So that was just behind me on the stove and it was coming to a boil. I reduced the heat to really like a medium low, like a 2.5 out of 10 on my stove. And you're going to need to simmer that for about 15 minutes. And you want that chicken, the potatoes, the carrots to get nice and tender. And now's a good time to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. It'll take a little bit of time for that to happen. So this is a great time to preheat that oven. That way it's ready and waiting for you. And every once in a while, just come along and give that a stir so it doesn't stick. Now, this is optional, but I like to do it. I decided I want to add some cream to my pot pie filling. Now, like I said, that's optional. You do not have to do it. And when I say optional, I mean it is completely optional. It is good without it, okay? But I like the additional creaminess. I just decided I wanted a little creamier today. So you can add water. You could add milk. You could add instant milk, Thrivalist instant milk if you want a little bit more sauce. It's up to you, but I think it's really good with a little added creaminess there. And then I gave it a taste. Not only was I checking for seasonings, but I was also checking just to make sure the carrots and the potatoes and the chicken were tender. And they were. And so then I poured that mixture into my prepared pan. Now, I got that stoneware from Goodwill. That's a Pampered Chef pan. And I thought, I'm going to try it out. And it's actually probably a little bit too big for this casserole or for this pot pie because it just made like a really thin layer of filling at the bottom. You could choose to put this in a smaller casserole dish. This is probably an 8 by 10 casserole dish, but you could put this in something a little smaller or something round, and so that your filling is a little bit deeper. Okay, I got so excited that I cut my vent holes and I forgot to make my egg wash. I went ahead and got the scrambled egg mix, and that's probably a teaspoon of mix and a tablespoon of water. But something that's going to be really nice and thin, because you want to brush it on the top of the crust. And this is just going to help with browning. It makes it really pretty. But also, I think it helps make the top of your crust really nice and crispy. So I do recommend this. If you have some scrambled egg mix, then go ahead. It's just so convenient to be able to take a teaspoon of mix and make an egg wash. So this is what you will put into your 400-degree preheated oven, and I cooked that for exactly 20 minutes. And this is what it looks like straight out of the oven. Isn't that gorgeous? It's nice and browned, and I just wanted to take a minute and show you the beautiful crust. Guys, I'm not tooting my own horn here. It's just this pie crust recipe is the best one out there on the internet as far as shelf-stable, just add water pie crust. I experimented, I tried dozens of recipes. This is the best one. You will get great results every time. If you don't make anything else, make the pie crust. I mean, just look at how flaky that is. So you can go ahead and serve it up at this point in time. Now see the filling that I was talking about earlier? There's not a lot of cream sauce in that filling that's left. It's a little on the dry side, actually, even for me. I like things a little creamier. So I would suggest you either add some more water to start with, or put it in a smaller dish to create a thicker layer of filling. That will help. But either way, it is absolutely delicious. This was so good. And isn't that just a lovely chicken pot pie, guys? And I'm telling you, the taste is so good. You would be proud to serve this to company. But also, you could crank this out on a Thursday night, because it takes about 45 minutes start to finish to make chicken pot pie. If you already have your pot pie mix and your crust mix in a jar, if those are ready and waiting for you on your pantry shelf, then you can have a fresh homemade chicken pot pie in about 45 minutes, and it's so good. This is the recipe that I grew up eating, because this is my mom's recipe. It was my grandma's recipe, and I figured out that people are very particular about their meatloaf recipe, and I think it's because they just like what they grew up with. Anyway, so I'm going to give you the recipe that I grew up with, and you can definitely kind of use it as a guide, or just, use kind of the technique that I use to make this, and then make adjustments to your preferences. You can customize this and make it however you like to make it. My family loves a ketchup topping on our meatloaf, but not everybody does. I mean, you don't have to put ketchup on there. You could do barbecue sauce, or a combination of barbecue sauce and ketchup. You could make your own topping using a ketchup powder, or just whatever you like. You could dress it up, add brown sugar, Worcestershire, whatever you want. That's just an idea for you. Let me show you how I put this together. I'm starting with a quart-sized jar because I wanted about 4 servings. I'm making this in a muffin tin. I'm going to make 9 mini meatloaves in the muffin tin, but you could totally bake this in a loaf pan if you prefer that. You're going to need about 2 cups of meat total. So I suggest a combination of ground beef and the sausage crumbles, but that's up to you. Whatever you choose, please do pulse those in the blender. You need to get the meat to be smaller pieces in order for it to refresh properly. So I pulsed my ground beef, and I pulsed some sausage, And then that right there in the middle is the quick cook oats. Those are perfect for meatloaf as the filler. Do not use old-fashioned oats or steel-cut oats. They will not have time to cook. You need to use the quick cook oats. All right, there goes some eggs. And then I really like to use mozzarella. And once again, I pulsed it in the blender. The mozzarella is very mild in flavor and it's really good in the meatloaf. I'm adding some zucchini here because I really like to hide vegetables in my meatloaf. I mean, the kids hardly even notice it's there. Zucchini is very mild. I love to add extra veggies. All right, for the sauce powders, I'm using a combination of both tomato sauce and Espanol. And the tomato sauce, you could sub tomato powder if you don't have the tomato sauce, but it does have some extra seasonings in there. I have a copycat recipe for the Espanol, and I'll include it in the description box below. I'm using 2 kinds of onions here. I've got chopped white onions and green onions, but if you don't have the green onions, don't worry about it. You can just use all chopped onions. My grandma and my mom, they always used milk as the liquid for their meatloaf. It just adds some richness and I really like it. So I'm adding some instant milk. And you can add an oxygen absorber, and this is the jar you would store on your pantry shelf. Isn't that a lovely jar? I really like those layers. Okay, so this is the kind of meal that's really convenient to have on your pantry shelf because it's so quick to make. You can make this on a weeknight. It comes together in about half an hour. All right, and when you're ready to make this meatloaf meal, all you have to do is get out a medium-sized bowl. You don't even have to turn your stove on here. It's just dump the jar into the bowl, and then you're going to add some hot water, okay? That's just hot tap water. And I find that if you put in hot water, it does help to refresh the meat and then soften the oats a little bit better. So I do suggest hot tap water there. I started with about 1.25 cups, and then I added another 1/4 cup. Here in just a second, you'll see me. Okay, yeah, there I'm adding the last 1/4 cup. Now, this recipe is really similar to my Swedish meatballs recipe for the actual meatballs, but this is a little bit different. It needs a bit more liquid. So you need to let it sit for 10 minutes and then stir it again. Go ahead and preheat your oven, by the way, 375. But, and then stir it again, and then this is the texture you're looking for. It needs to be a lot more liquidy than those meatballs were, okay? Add some more water if you need to. I got out my muffin tin and I just sprayed it with cooking spray. And then I'm just using an ice cream scoop, and I think that's about a 1/2 cup scoop or so, something like that. I got 9 meatloaf muffins out of this. If you get 8, that's fine, whatever, it'll work. Now I'm going to show you how I do that ketchup topping, okay? I just save the extra ketchup packets when we go through the drive-thru. We've got this burger place we like up the road, and they always give us extra ketchup packets. So I just save those, and I've kept them for more than 6 months and not had any trouble. But I mean, it's up to you. This is how I like to top my meatloaf. I ended up off camera, I added even more ketchup because I really like that topping. But you could store a little jar of barbecue sauce next to your meal in a jar, or you could store a little bottle of ketchup. I mean, it's up to you. I've even seen ketchup powder from the Spice House. You could make your own topping. It's up to you. But I do suggest some sort of a topping. All right, and then I bake that for about 20 minutes at 375. You're just wanting to cook the oatmeal, cook the eggs, heat everything through. But see how nice and glossy that ketchup gets on the top? I think it's just so pretty. And I didn't have a bit of trouble getting these out of the muffin tin. And of course it's a non-stick muffin tin, and then I had sprayed it, so that was helpful. But yeah, they came out no problem at all. 2 of these was enough for me and my girls. My husband liked 3. But they do develop a nice little crust on the exterior. When you're cooking with freeze-dried food, sometimes the texture can be kind of different than if you were cooking with fresh ground beef. So getting a little bit of a crunch on the exterior of that meatloaf was really nice. Also, the oats inside, they help the texture of your meatloaf. They give your meatloaf the mouthfeel of a regular meatloaf. So I highly suggest you use the quick cook oats. All right, and I wanted to cut into this and to show you, yeah, it's sturdy. It holds up really well. You can cut it with a fork and stick a fork in there and it's not going to fall apart on you. Those oats are really nice in here. The flavor is fantastic. This is a delicious meatloaf recipe. You can do really interesting, really cool, really different things with your freeze-dried food stores. I'm hoping that I'm inspiring you to just try something different. And don't be afraid to open up the cans, give it a try, and see what you like. I have another recipe from my mom's cookbook for you today. My mom was such a great cook. She was a master of casseroles. And this is a casserole probably from the 70s and the 80s. And it's just something that my family ate on a regular basis. I love it. It's basically a broccoli, rice, and cheese casserole with chicken, but there's curry powder in it, which makes it a chicken divan. If you grew up in the 70s and 80s and went to church potlucks, you probably have had chicken divan. It's just one of those things that is so delicious. And the curry powder, the mustard powder, and the lemon powder in this dish, they make it different than any other chicken, broccoli, and rice casserole that you might have seen before. I haven't seen anybody have a recipe for chicken divan as a meal in a jar, so I was really excited to develop this for you and to bring it to you today. I will say this, my husband is not a fan of curry, so this is not for everyone. I thought it was absolutely delicious. If you'll notice, I did not use the Thrivalist rice in this recipe, and that's because Thrivalist does have instant rice, and you can use that. I have used it before. It's just that I didn't like the texture at the end because I think it just gets too mushy on you. It gets overcooked in this. So if I were you, I would use regular old cheap grocery store rice, just medium grain. You could use any kind, basmati, jasmine, whatever you want. But I think that you will like the dish better if you use just regular raw rice in this. If you're going to store it for the long term, go ahead and put you an oxygen absorber in there. Y'all know me, I'm about to take pictures and then make this for you. But isn't this pretty? It's so simple, it comes together really fast. I think it makes a great gift. Not only is it super tasty, but it's really easy for someone to prepare because literally all you have to do is get out a skillet, pour it in there, and add water. So this is so simple. This is probably one of the simplest things that I have ever brought to you. I always put water in that jar to get the last bits of sauce or whatever that's stuck in the jar out and into the casserole. I love watching the ingredients kind of brighten up. So look at that broccoli. You see how when it comes in contact with the water, it just gets really bright green. It's so pretty. Our broccoli is delicious. Once you bring this up to a boil and give it a little stir, put your lid on there and turn the heat down. I ended up at a 2 out of 10 on my stove, so medium lowish. 20 minutes, y'all. Don't peek, okay? Don't peek. You're cooking the rice and you don't want to let that steam out. Just trust me. And this is what you'll have. At the end of 20 minutes, the rice is going to be cooked through the casserole. I keep calling it a casserole. It's casserole, okay? The casserole will have tightened up. That sauce that you have in there is going to be nice and creamy. I always recommend that you taste for seasonings and make adjustments. My mom always put mayo in her casserole. I know that might sound funny, but it just adds a little creaminess. You can always add a spoonful of mayo. It would be delicious. And then if you have some extra cheese, you could melt some cheese on the top. That's what I did. And just look at that cheese pull. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, it just brought me back, It's like I'm on some sort of nostalgia foodie tour or something. It's so good. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. These are such fun videos for me to make. I enjoyed this one especially, my little trip down memory lane. If you're interested in getting my recipes in print form, I have a couple of cookbooks. They are available on Amazon in paperback. And then if you just want like a digital download format, you can find those on my website, which is thefreezedriedfoodie.com. I will link to that below. And please do, if you haven't already, hit the like button and leave me a comment. That always helps my channel. Now is my favorite part. It's time for the verse of the day. And today's scripture verse comes from Romans chapter 5, verse 1, and it reads, "Therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ." Amen. Well, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, a blessed week, and until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.